Good morning, everyone. So this is the fourth, right? The fourth meeting of our lesson, and for today, wait, uh, wait a minute. So for today, I want you to open the dictates I give for Hafiz. Have you shared it, Hafiz?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so everyone must have it uh, in their hand. Okay, so we will use that. We will use that. We will use and I'm sorry there is no PowerPoint and the dictates itself is in Bahasa, but we will I will try to explain it in English. Okay, so uh, if you have difficulties, if you have difficulty to open the document, and while you are watching this meeting, it is okay. I mean, it's okay. It's okay for me if you want to turn off your camera. Do you know what I mean? Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
if you have difficulty to open the document, I have the printed one. I have the printed one, but I don't ask you to print it. If you, it's okay to open it in your gadget. And if you have a problem to open and showing your face at the same time, it's okay if you want to turn off your camera. Okay. So we will open the document together, and you can start it from. Okay, so the first chapter is the concept of philosophy, the first chapter, and we will proceed into. Okay, we will proceed into the second chapter. The second chapter. Okay, have you found the page? The second chapter. I'm sorry, there is no page number in that document. Yet, not yet. I have not give the document page number. Please open the second chapter. Okay, so the second chapter, point 2.1. The science is knowledge. The science is knowledge, but not all knowledge is science. Okay, just like what I have told you last time, right? The science is knowledge, but not every knowledge is science. According to Kant, Immanuel Kant, he divided knowledge into two. The first is a priori and a posteriori. A priori is knowledge which is not depend on experience, or this knowledge is happening before experience, while a posterior is knowledge after experience something, after experiencing something. So a priori, for example, you have a priori about, let's say, people from Africa. Let's say people from Africa. In your mind, you have thinking. You have think something that people from Africa must be black in skin. People from Africa must be black in skin in your mind. It is called a priori. But then finally, you meet somebody who comes from Africa, and he is white in skin. He is white in skin. How that could be? It could happen because there is a country called South Africa. South Africa, and there are so many citizens of South Africa is white in skin. So that is the example of a priori. A priori. Just like the case for today, your senior want to do a demonstration against the legislative or DPR. Some people perhaps has the a priori knowledge that all a member of DPR is corruptor, right? But in fact, the reality is not every member of DPR is corruptor. So it is called a priori. The knowledge before experience. Okay, so knowledge is associative thinking, which connecting a thought with reality, or connecting thinking and another thinking according to experience without any understanding about a causality. Without any understanding about causality. While science is different, because the science is the accumulative of knowledge which explaining the causality in an object according to methods which is systematically proven. Okay. Okay. Wait a second. My son is awake. Okay, we continue. So what's the difference? The difference is the not all knowledge is science, but science is always consists of knowledge, and the knowledge which can explain uh, causality. Causality. For example, later if you make a scriptsy, you can make a title, like the effect of murabahah into customer loyalty, for example, because you are from Ekis, right? From Islamic economy. It is causality. Okay. Next, and the science itself has systematically arranged this. The science is systematically arranged. For example, if you want to study uh, Islamic microeconomic, you must study first the conventional one. For example, if you want to study fikih muamalah, just like your senior, you must first have the lesson of introduction to fikih muamalah, for example. So the science is uh, in linearity. It is systematically arranged. Science is the branch of knowledge which has certain, uh, it has certain attribute. And sometimes the knowledge, the knowledge which has a scientific method can be called scientific knowledge. Scientific knowledge. So, the next page, okay. So the knowledge meaning is wider than science. Knowledge is wider than science, and so the science is more specific. Why? Because the knowledge must meet some attribute, must meet some conditions, so it can be called science. Just like we have discussed last time, the science must be the knowledge. If it want to be science, it must be logical and empiric and also objective and systematic etc. Okay. Next, 2.2. Oh, we skip this, but we skip this one. You can read it by yourself. 2.3, the history of knowledge and science. So, the history of knowledge and science. In bahasa, we don't have any specific term for science. So we different it between pengetahuan and ilmu pengetahuan. But in English we call it knowledge and science. And you know, in bahasa, almost every knowledge we call it science, which is not correct. Just like last time, we have discussed that what about magic? What about magic? In bahasa, we used to call it ilmu gaib. Although actually it is not a science according to philosophy of science. It is not a science. Why? Because it doesn't meet the conditions of knowledge can be called science. It is not objective. It is not a logic. It is not empiric, etc. Okay. The history of knowledge and science. Ancient age. 15 before Christ until 7. The development of knowledge and human in the ancient age can be a throwback even before the 15 before Christ. At the Stone Age. The knowledge at that time is practically and give the direct benefit into society. Just the same like its name, the Stone Age at that time, human being using rocks as a tool. Human being using rock as a tool. They use axe to cut and chop, and instead of rock, human also use animal bones. The tools which is made of animal bone also used to be a needle, to do tailor, to fixing the clothing, and also spare to hunt, and another finding proving that human as a creature of culture could create tools against the nature. Okay, so if you have studied perhaps in your senior high about history, we have studied about the Homo sapiens, Homo erectus, etc. Homo wachakensis in Java, and another findings about human beings at that time. According to Anna, in that Stone Age, the knowledge has developed, and it can be seen from some countries, just like Egypt, Babylonia, China, and India. There is a connection between a thinking or idea in one area and another area. Just like the making of bronze tools in Egypt at the 17th before Christ, give effect to the technique using in Europe. And another example, the tools made of steel for war is already known at the 5th of before Christ in Dynasty Qin, while India gives ideas, gave it big ideas in the development of mathematics and decimal numbering. And there is also the idea of Buddhism. And India has also found the wheel to make what is it in English? Tembikar. What is tembikar in English? I forget. Unfortunately, all of it become vanished at the centuries of 20 before Christ, because of disaster or war. So unfortunately, generally, the knowledge at the Stone Age or the Ancient Age has 5 ability, which is empirical knowledge, receptive mind, and also finding alphabet, and this finding alphabet can make a human being ideas into the level of abstract, because of finding alphabet. Before we find alphabet, people just analyze what is can be seen or can be touched, and after finding alphabet, people can expand their mind into the abstract thing. Just like what we have studied in university, we learning something abstract, and the ability of writing and also calculating and making calendar, making calendar, and they can also forecasting, natural phenomena, just like what is called gerhana in English.
Eclipse. Eclipse.
Okay, yes. The lunar eclipse and also solar eclipse. So they can do forecasting according to their knowledge at that time. And next, the Greek period. The Greek period. The ancient Greek period, uh, people call it as the golden age. The golden age of philosophy. Because in this time, uh, people have freedom to explaining their ideas or opinion. The Greece at that time is believed to be the source of science and philosophy, because the nations of Greece at that time, uh, they are a very inquiring in attitude. They like to uh, observe something, and this attitude is then until now become the source of growing science. The development of the modern science is because of that attitude. And in philosophy, usually we call it uh, critical thinking. Critical thinking. And you, as a student, you must have that type of thinking too. You must be a critic. You must not receptive, just like your senior. Just like your senior, they want to do demonstration because they are not receptive. They they don't just accept the omnibus law. No, but they against the government because according to them, the omnibus law is will have a negative effect into our country. Instead of the ancient Greek age, it is also called the era of Hellenism. Hellenism. At the time of the ruling the great Alexander the Great, spread a culture, a transnational culture, which is called the Hellenistic culture. Because the culture of Greece is not limited only in the city of Greece, but also all the area which conquered by Alexander the Great. Last time, one of your friend asked me about why there is a connection between the knowledge in Egypt, and Greece. Why? Why there is knowledge? What what is the connection? What is the connection? How it could be? Because at that time the Greece and Egypt is far away, far away. So this is the answer. This is the answer. At that time, Alexander the Great has conquered many countries. One of it is Egypt. So Egypt at that time is under the control of Alexander the Great. So it's not. So that's why the knowledge is spreading, and perhaps has a similarity. At the time of Hellenism, showing some thinking ideas, just like Stoicism. Stoicism, according to Stoicism, the universe is depend on the power of logos, and there is also Epicurism. And they say that everything consists of always moving atom, and human will be happy if they admit this world and not afraid of gods. Skepticism. This is very important. Skepticism, which tell us that the human being will not finding the truth. Will not finding the truth. Skepticism. Human will not finding the truth. The skepticism, and the skepticism is all we need to do research in science. So we always skeptic. So skepticism is one of the keywords you must remember. The skepticism, the skeptic, to be skeptic is important if you want to be a scientist. Eclecticism. Eclecticism is want to take another philosophy thinking, but they don't have one major thinking. Eclectic. So they just want to collect another thinking. Neo-Plato want to make the ideas of Plato, the philosophy of Plato, live again. So the thinking is about God is one. All matters come from the one and want to beg for him, according to K. Bertens. Okay, so that is the Hellenism era, which people say it is the golden age of philosophy. Next, we have Middle Age. The Middle Age. Middle Age is a very long period, which is start from the fall down of the West Rome until the emerge of Renaissance in Italy. So the Middle Age, in that era, the Catholic, the religion of Catholic, has a very big impact to the king and culture in that Middle Age. In that time, the scientist is also a theologue. We will someday learn about a theology too. Theology is a lesson or ideas of studying uh, beliefs and religion. Theology. In another word, the scientific activity is doing uh, to to give explanation about the truth of religion. So in that time, the usually we call it the hegemony of church, the hegemony of the church. Okay, so but until before the end of the Middle Age, we have some important findings, important inventions in science. For example, plow, a plow. You know, plow, plow. Usually, people in Indonesia using cow or buffalo to plow the rice field, right? To plow. So the plowing tools is reducing the power of a human being, the power of human being. So at the time, that finding is very important. It's very important. And today, if you know, in my village, we are using the harvest machine to harvest rice. We all know use the harvest machine, which is as big as car, and they can operate in the night to harvest rice field. And so the using of a human being energy is minimal. And then another important invention is water wheel to green corn, At the age of 13, there are so many improvement in shipping, and also cruise navigation. Okay, cruise navigation. So the making of a boat, making a good, a very big boat. Okay, and then also the finding of compass, and the ability of making clothes, textile, and also a leather processing. After people know the tools to a cotton spinner. So people at that time can make dress from cotton at the age of 13. So what we use for dress before the age of 13? Before we find how to spin the cotton, we use leather from animal skin, right? To cover our body. And in history of religion, we also believe that the prophet of Adam using you know what, leaves leaves from tree to cover their body. Before, at the age of 13, we find cotton, spinach cotton. Okay. And the next improvement is also the making of paper. Making of paper. The making of paper, which is come from China and brought by people of Islam into the Spain, the culture of paper. And at that time too, people also know the printing and making explosive, making something explosive, or what is monsieur in English. At that time, people finding explosive thing, and that explosive thing open a lot of opportunity, including for war too. The age of Renaissance. The age of Renaissance. So, in the age of Renaissance, people finally free from the dogmatic religion. So people, if you study then the history, and we have discussed also about the secularism, and the Renaissance people want to free from the dogmatic beliefs of religion. Have I told you about dogmatic belief? Did I already?
Not yet, sir.
Okay. So the dogmatic belief is about that if you choose one religion, you cannot. You must obey. You must obey the beliefs in that religion. You cannot bargain. You cannot bargain. It is dogmatic beliefs. So the Renaissance is the age when the people of Middle Age then become one modern culture. The people in this time is people who miss the freedom of thinking. The freedom of thinking. Wait. Okay. The people at this time is the modern science is started in Renaissance era. The science which is developed very fast in this time is astronomy. Astronomy. The famous icon, just like Roger Bacon, Copernicus, Kepler, and Galileo Galilei. Roger Bacon has a theory that empirical experience, is a basic and is a basic for all science, and the mathematics is a tool, absolute tool to uh, know all knowledge, the mathematics. So according to Roger Bacon, the important keywords is empiric and mathematic. Empiric and mathematic. So that's why in philosophy, and also in the philosophy of science, we are taught that the language and mathematics is not science. If you want to read more, you can read the book of Prof. Jujun Surya Sumatri. The cover is blue, about philosophy of science. So the language and mathematics is not science. So what is it? Language and mathematics is a tool to get science. So if you have a younger brother or sister and they join Kumon, if you know Kumon, they study just that two things, the language and mathematics, because that is the tool to gain another knowledge. Okay, and usually the two things becomes the most frightening lesson, even for university student. The language, uh, especially English, and also mathematics. Okay, Copernicus. Copernicus said that all the planets, including Earth, everything is surrounding the sun, So the sun is the center, and it is called heliocentris. This opinion is against the general opinion from people, which comes from Hipparchus and Ptolemaeus, which saying that the Earth is the center of universe, or geocentrism. So Copernicus finding that the biggest one is sun, not the Earth. And this idea must be very big in that time. And making making people in chaos, because this different of heliocentris and geocentris. Kepler finding laws from Tycho Brahe. You can read it from another source, Tycho Brahe. Tycho Brahe says that all of the object or of the space object that's like a planet is moving in a circle, in a circle, moving in a circle. But then Kepler found that the orbit of planet is not circle, but ellipse. Ellipse is just like the shape of egg, the shape of egg, ellipse, not circle. Okay, according to Kepler. Okay. The last Galileo Galilei making a huge, very huge, improvement because he find a telescope, the biggest telescope at that time, and so people can see uh, the space event live, live. You can see that the Venus and Mercury, and also the changes in the moon. And for so, he conclude that the planet does not emit their own light. So the planet does not produce their own light, but it's just a reflection from the light of sun, just like what we see in the moon and another planet. The only, according to Galileo Galilei, the only planet that produce its own light is sun, because the sun is in fact a very huge fireball, right? A very huge fireball. The modern age, 17 until 19. Okay, so the development of a science in the modern age is started from the Renaissance. Just like René Descartes, the father of modern philosophy. René Descartes is also an expert in mathematics. The most important finding is the coordinate system consists of line X and line Y in the flat area. Isaac Newton in the theory of gravity, and Charles Darwin with the theory of structure for life, or usually we call it what is it? Charles Darwin. Oh, I forget the name of the theory. Evolution, the theory of evolution. The theory of evolution by Charles Darwin. And J.J. Thomson with the finding of electron. René Descartes. Gives a very big impact in mathematics. And the finding of Descartes is called analytic geometry. Isaac Newton is his finding is about gravity, calculus, and optic. Okay, next. This gravity theory explaining all of the movement of planet and the moon, and also what is it in English? Pasang surut. The height and the low level of ocean. Ocean. I don't know in English. And another astronomic event. Calculus and optic and Charles Darwin has the theory of survival of the fittest. And the most controversial idea of Charles Darwin is that people is actually monkey. Right? The theory of Charles Darwin, evolution theory. He said that people is actually the evolution of monkey, walking monkey, and then become a human being. And that idea is against the belief of uh, religion, against belief of religion, that we believe the ancient, the first human being is Prophet Adam, not monkey. Not monkey. Nowadays era, in nowadays era, the science is developed very fast. Even for the science of genetic, uh, every 2 years, there is uh, a new finding of genetics. The most famous physicist or scientist in the age of 20 is Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein. He said that the universe is unlimited. Unlimited. And also the status is static from time to time. Einstein believed of the, the matter, the the matter is cannot be, the matter is always exists. It is called the thermodynamics. Thermodynamics. The theory from Einstein. The law of conservation of energy. So he said that the universe is static. But then in 1929, okay, before that, so Einstein believed that the matter is static. The matter is static, and that's why he doesn't believe in the creation of universe. Einstein doesn't believe in creation of universe. But then in 1929, Hubble, using the largest telescope Hubble, finding another galaxy, which is so far away, and that galaxy is so dynamic. The galaxy is so dynamic, and it's different with the theory of Einstein about static universe. And so the contemporary physicists, just like Carnot, Alpher, and Hermann, have conclusion that the all galaxy in this universe is at first at first uh, is joining uh, our galaxy. What is Bima Sakti in English? What is Bima Sakti in English?
Mm, Milky Way, sir.
Milky Way.
Galaxy
Okay.
Milky Way. Yeah. Okay.
So the Milky Way, approximately 15 billion years ago. And after that, there is an explosion, a very big explosion, which throwing all the matter into the every direction, and then becomes stars and galaxy. And the theory is called the Big Bang theory. The Big Bang theory. Instead of physics and the theory of the universe, in this era, people found technology. One of it, computer, satellite, internet, etc. There is also the theory of quantum and atom from Max Planck, and the finding of radioactive by Becquerel, and then Marie Curie, if you read the history, and that's why the radioactive is very important in today's life activity. Just like to do Ronson photo in hospital, and also nuclear weapon, also nuclear uh, genset from nuclear. And then also the finding of printing press by Johannes Gutenberg. They find printing press. So before Gutenberg find the printing press, usually people make books, only one or two or three, just like that. But after Gutenberg finding printing press, then the information can spread very fast, just like a newspaper. Because of the finding of printing press, or we call it in bahasa percetakan. Percetakan. Okay, and this modern era, the science is specialized, just like the science of a doctor, or a doctor, the sense of medicine is become more specialized, and the study of science become narrow, and not wide. And we have also postulate, assumption, and principle. What is postulate? Postulate is the same meaning of axiom. So the postulate is the statement which can be accepted without any proof. The statement without any proof, just like the axiom, the Mendel's axiom, axioma Mendel, the axiom of Mendel's say that heredity theory says that son or daughter has the attribute which comes from his father and mother. It is axiom of Mendel's. So okay, so in this time the science become narrow. Perhaps in your senior high, you just find two, which is IPA and IPS. But then in the university, you find it become narrower, become smaller, become more specialized, become more specialized. Okay, the conclusion. The science is not a conclusion of logic from experiencing, while the knowledge is experiencing something. Knowledge is experiencing something, but it has no place. It has no place to be critically by another person. The knowledge, but the science must be critically by another person. That is why it is called science. That is why at the end of your study in university, you must be criticized. You must be criticized by lecture, or if you create a scriptsy, you create a scriptsy, you write in a journal, you are criticized by a reviewer of the journal. So that is one point which is different between knowledge and science. Okay. Before we continue, any question?
I want to ask, sir.
Yes.
I have question, sir.
Sorry. Yes, please.
But first, I'm so sorry if my English so bad. You can correct my English.
Yes. We are all study here.
At the age in ancient age, some people have criticism. People starting criticism, but why? Why some people created theory, but they don't have proof? Tapi mengapa tidak ada pembuktian dari teori itu? Terus kenapa kok bisa ada teori itu, Pak? Kan ada orang yang kritis tentang orang itu memiliki sifat kritis. Terus kenapa kok ada orang yang membuat teori tapi belum ada pembenaran dari teori itu? Kenapa kok bisa diterima begitu saja?
Which theory do you mean?
Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin say that people start from monkey, but there is no proof about it.
Okay, okay. One of the biggest proof of Charles Darwin theory is uh, ancient human. If you have studied in high school, there is Homo sapien, Homo erectus, just like that. And according to Einstein, it is a proof that human is at first monkey. If we see the fossil of Homo sapiens is it is 50% human, 50% big monkey, right? If we study in history, and for for that, I think the majority of scientists which has no religion, I think they must believe the Einstein and the Darwin theory, the Darwin theory. But if we have religion, we have a very big, task. We have a very big task. How to prove that the prophet of Adam is the first human being? That is the question. The very big question we as religious people has to answer. If we meet another person who believes in Darwinism, that is the big question for us. Can you prove where is the tomb? Where is the tomb of Prophet Adam? Can you prove how is Prophet Adam? Where is the bone of Prophet Adam? We cannot prove it yet. We cannot prove it yet. But we believe that the first human being is Prophet Adam. But in proving that in proving that theory of a religion, I'm afraid we are loose from Darwinism. They have already proved the Homo sapiens and Homo erectus. Okay, do you understand, Hafiz? So, some of stories in Al-Quran is already proven, just like the boat of Prophet Noah, the boat of Prophet Noah, and the the what is it? The moon split into two. That is the mu'jizat given by Allah for Prophet Muhammad. The moon split into two. It is proven too by scientists. But I'm afraid we have no proof yet for that the Nabi, the Prophet Adam is the first human being. I'm afraid we have not we have no proof yet. Okay, please, if you have any opinion or question, you may ask. So that is the biggest challenge for us. If you meet somebody atheist, perhaps in another country, because I believe in Indonesia, most of Indonesian people has religion. But in another country, you will meet people which has no religion, which doesn't believe in God, and perhaps they believe in Darwinism. and they will ask you, what is the proof that the Prophet Adam is the first human? And we cannot answer it yet. But I believe someday we will have the proof. But until now, I'm not sure there is a proof for it. Okay, any other question? Okay, if there is no question, we proceed. We go on to the next chapter. Next chapter. The correlation between philosophy and the development of science. And the development of science. The philosophy comes from Greece, Greek language, philosophia. Philo means love, sophia means wisdom. So philosophia is loving wisdom. Loving wisdom. The truth comes from philosophy is different with the truth comes from science. It is why because the philosophy is more universal and science is more partial and separate in part according to the discipline, the science discipline, which is very systematic, logic, and empiric. That is the science. The philosophy is not learned by experiment, but finding a solution by argumentation. So that is the difference between science and philosophy. Science is based on experiment. Philosophy is argument. Okay, next. The development of science is just the same, just like the last chapter. Before ancient Greece, and then ancient Greece, and the Middle Age, Renaissance, and modern era. The one thing I must underline at the point of 1.3, 1.3, not the numbers, but after the numbers, 1.3. The philosophy and the science has a connection. According to a philosophy of Greek, the philosophy consists of every science. The philosophy consists of every science. But in time, there is branches of science which go away, or move themselves from philosophy. Just like astronomy, physics, chemistry, biology, and geology, and also psychology and sociology. They move away from philosophy. Philosophy can be called as mother of all science. So the philosophy also call it the mother of all science. The philosophy helps science, so the science can be rational and can be responsible to the theory. Okay, so that is the most important thing that I must underline in this chapter. Okay, I think is enough. Any question? Any question? Any question about today's meeting? So the point is the development of science. The development of science that we start from Homo sapiens, that we, people in that time eating by digging and using stone and using animal's bone, etc. And then it developed, and then people finding steel, and they use it to make tools for home. The people finding then clothing from cotton, and also find papers, and find explosive thing, and then finally Einstein find nuclear, and until now the science is expanding very fast. So that is the idea. The main idea is the development of a science. And as a scientist, you must always remember that the science is logic, empiric, systematic, objective. And the science is based on knowledge, but not all knowledge is science. And the philosophy is the mother of all science. Okay, so that is the conclusion for today's meeting. So if you have no question, looks like we must finish this meeting. If you have a question later, you may ask in the comment or in WhatsApp group. Let's close our meeting by doa akhir majelis. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Thank you for your attention. See you next week, insyaallah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.